progression. How does one
So the virus
catch
is
that virus? Is it because we also hear information these days that it could even be airborne.
Yeah.
But how does it? How do you contract it? How do you pick it from one person to the other person?
Yeah, so the virus has actually two major modes of transmission.
Yes.
The key mode is person-to-person transmission. And I guess this is the reason why the government is putting a lot of emphasis on, people, keeping
Social
some
distance,
distances
yes,
between
yes,
themselves.
yes.
And we all know that social distancing is now going to be an issue. I want to trust that it might even be a criminal offense, to interact unnecessarily. Because the virus will then be passed from one person to another. And the reason why social distancing is recommended is because the virus happens to be transmitted through droplets. So if you get exposed to droplets that come from an infected person, then those droplets can gain entry into your system through the mucous membranes. So if you look at the sizes of the droplets, there are three major, let me say from a layman's language, three different sizes of the droplets. We have the huge droplets that when they come out of the infected person will drop closer to that person. Then you have the next moderate sized droplets that would fall a little further. And the smaller sized droplets would move further, about 6 feet away from the person.
That is through coughing.
This is through
sneezing.
coughing, sneezing, spitting. All these kind of behaviors can then move the virus from the infected person to whoever is closer to you. So the safer distance that we all should be working towards is almost 2 meters away, because the farthest the virus can actually drop is about 6 feet. So that is a major mode of transmission. But then the other mode is through surfaces. If the virus falls on a surface, on your hands, you greet somebody else, and then you are able to transmit the virus from yourself or through these contacts to your mucous membranes again. And the mucous membranes are generally around the mouth, the eyes, and that is why people always tell you, please stop touching your eyes, please stop touching your face. You don't want to start contaminating yourself. Again, it is on that basis that
even if that droplets that came into touch with your own body is dried up within the system, does it still become?
So again,
let's assume, for argument's sake, you had a discussion with somebody, and in 3 hours or 4 hours later on, when it's dry but you have not washed your hands, you rub your eyes. Are you likely?
Yes, you are likely to contaminate yourself, and you can get the virus.
So it can leave also on a dry.
Exactly. So even if if you came into contact with the droplets and you don't happen to decontaminate yourself or clean your hands. When you use the sanitizers that are commonly used, one thing that has been tried is that the virus dies within a minute on exposure to these sanitizers, especially if you get sanitizers that are well prepared, because the biggest worry is when you start getting sanitizers with lower concentrations of alcohol or whatever disinfectant is being used. So appropriate ratios need to be maintained. The second thing is you could also wash it away, and that is why with soap and water and good cleaning, you should actually be able to remove the virus. And we recommend, for the sake of not just finances, even for sustainability, that we try to clean our hands as much as possible, maintain and avoid touch as often as possible, so that then you protect yourself, you protect those around you. Now, the issue of the airborne transmission is a rule that we encourage clinicians managing patients to apply, but it does not mean that the virus is transmitted through the airborne. You can actually aerosolize the particles. Let's assume you have these particles with an air conditioner in a room. You can transform what was supposed to be falling into, circulation in the air.
Yes.
Exactly. So again, so basically in the medical world, we encourage clinicians to practice airborne precautions. And I think that is where now people are misunderstanding the issue about the airborne as a disease. And, if this was the case, most of us would be affected by now. So we encourage clinicians to literally practice airborne precautions, because you just don't know what might be in the air, and you have to be protected from any infections because of the nature of work that we do.